meeting is being recorded.
All right, so you guys may have to accept the recording thing, but all right, so going back to scripts, we want to make sure that you know the script. The biggest thing about scripts are you want to remember it, so memorize it, right? You want to internalize it, and you want to customize it. If you're just reading it off of a sheet of paper, especially if you're reading it for the first time off of a sheet of paper, you're going to sound like a robot. And nobody wants to be sold to. We are not salespeople, even though we're licensed salespeople technically in Georgia. We're advisors and consultants, right? And the better the scripts, the more powerful you're going to be able to deliver those scripts, right? And the more effective those scripts will be, right? And again, no, most people don't like reading scripts, but it is crucial, especially in this industry that we're in, right? So everybody should have received earlier this morning a 98-page packet full of scripts that are extremely effective that work, right? So if you did not receive that, send me an email because everybody should have that. And we want to make sure that you're getting the emails properly. Perfect, thank you. So you make sure you, and again, this is a workshop, so this is live, right? Go ahead and download the workbook that was sent out to you if you haven't already. And one thing that I used to do before I had, people that were willing to role play with me, because everybody was acting like they didn't want to do scripts, I would do them with myself, right? So you can chant them to yourself, right? You can play in the mirror. Well, that sounds weird. You can role play with yourself by staring in the mirror as if you're talking to somebody else, right? But you want to make sure that you're practicing these scripts. Otherwise, again, it's going to sound extremely robotic and it will not be effective, right? Scripts are huge. If people were really honest with themselves, they would discover that they really do have scripts. Everyone has certain words, phrases, and sentences that they fall back on during sales presentations, right? And you want to make sure that, again, you take the time to become more knowledgeable about your craft and also implement specific key terms and words that are powerful in the world of sales, right? So again, this is a craft. This is a craft. I want y'all to be LeBron, Michael Jordan, right? Tom Brady. It's like you have to really hone in on your craft. And most people aren't going to take the time to figure out which sales terms are effective, right? Most people just aren't. Most people don't even know to look that far into it. So when you do that, and again, the scripts that are delivered to you guys in your email address are filled with those powerful sales words. Go ahead. You did it? Okay, check your spam. And Summer, could you forward that to her if you don't mind? Yes. Appreciate that. So if you don't have it, Summer's going to send it over to you as well. And we'll need to figure, you want to make sure your zone email account is updated properly. And we'll check and make sure, because that might be it, because it's going to pull from whatever email you have in your zone profile. All right. And a lot of people, again, they think that they just know it all, right? Which is great. I want you guys to be experts. We all need to be experts, but you are not as effective as you could be if you're not using scripts. It's just impossible, right? So practice, practice, practice. Find an accountability partner, and role play, right? And again, I'm not talking about once a month. I'm talking about daily, right? And especially if you're a new agent, if you're brand new, you should be role playing anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes a day in regards to practicing your scripts. And now you know exactly what to say. My biggest issue when I first started is I didn't even know what to say. I didn't know where to begin. And the information that's available to you guys wasn't readily available to me in the same fashion, right? So you have exactly what you need to say, exactly when to say it, right? So it's literally broken down to what script this is, whether it's FISBOs, expired listings, buyer, right? And what type of buyer. It's all the way broken down for you. And again, we don't need you sounding like Debbie, right? We need you sounding like you. So memorize the script, internalize it, and customize it into your voice, right? And it becomes natural. right? And it's persuasive. And I don't want you to look at the word persuasion or persuasive as a negative factor, right? We're salespeople at the end of the day, right? Technically. And sometimes the power of persuasion is what's going to take you from the opening to the close, right? Again, and you guys will learn too here. I'm going to drop in a few different things, but there's going to be the 3 10s, right? And with those 3 10s that are extremely core elements into the selling process is going to determine how that person is acting, right? And how do we want them to act? We want them to sell. We want them to buy, right? We want them not to be on the fence. And sometimes it takes a little persuasion, right? And so we're going to look at that. And I'm about to share my screen so somebody in the Zoom world, if you could let me know that you can see it in a second here. Can anybody see that? You can?
Yeah.
Thank you. Perfect. All right. So we're going to go over a few things. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth, right? Because again, I'm writing a whole fucking book on this stuff, right? This is very deep, very intense, very in depth, right? You can literally do multiple college courses on just this element that we're talking about, right? So we're talking about scripting, but more so than just the scripting in itself, it's about getting the result in which we're seeking, right? Which is a sale, a close, right? Everybody follow me?
Yes.
All right, so every sale is the same. Every sale is the same. Are there different circumstances, different challenges, different means of persuasion? Of course. Are there different levels of certainty? Of course. That's where we come in and we put our salesperson hat on, right? So I got to step out for a second from the advisor consultant role because sometimes we have to sell as well, right? And a lot of people are scared to sell. So I want you guys to learn, and there's a lot of good things too that I can share after this course that I want you guys to really look into, right? And you want to learn how to trigger certainty, clarity, confidence, and courage. So just keep that in the back of your mind, right? And there's different ways you can achieve that before you start making these calls, right? You want to be certain that you're going to be able to close. You want to have crystal clarity in the message that you're going to be delivering, right? You want to have confidence. How do you have confidence? You have the knowledge. You actually know what you're talking about. You've done this before. Even if you haven't done this before, I've run it over in my head a million times. Like it's a film. I see it. I know the finish line. I see it. I envision it, right? Tom Brady, when he's out there before he touches the field, he's playing in his mind those exactly what the play looks like before it happens, right? He sees it. It's visual, right? And that's where we want to be as, again, I hate to use the term, but as salespeople, right? We have to see it before it happens. And you have to have courage. If you're scared, they're going to feel that. They're not going to want to interact with you, right? This is supposed to be a pleasurable, very pleasant experience for them. They should not want to get off the phone with you, right? You should almost be getting them off the phone. Like, you're sold already. I got to go into my next client, right? So every sale is the same. And what do I mean by that? There's 3 core elements to the sale. And then again, as I mentioned, we're going to jump back into the scripting as well. But I want you guys to understand what we're doing. There's a reason why these scripts are so effective once we know exactly what we're trying to do, right? If you're just calling for the sake of calling, what's the goal? Where are you going, right? So you got to have your mentality right before you even make those phone calls. So they have to love the product, believe that it fulfills their needs. In this case, they have to be off of the fence in regards to them wanting to buy or to sell, right? They have to trust you as an expert. They also have to trust and connect with your company. If any one of these are on and so there's a scale, we call it the 3 10s, if anybody was wondering, because it's a sliding scale from 1 to 10. Where are they on each one of those elements, right? Are they at a 1? They hate my product, right? And they're at a 10. They trust me as an expert, but they hate my product. And what does that look like? If I'm selling, if I'm attempting to, if I have a multifamily investment property for sale, 50 units, and they're looking to buy a one single family home residential property, they absolutely hate my product. It doesn't connect with them, even if they trust me as an expert and love my company, right? So you need all three of these, regardless of what it is, right? You could be selling t-shirts, right? They can love you as an expert, but if they don't love your product, you're not selling. It's the same exact thing, right? I can't force them to like this mansion if their budget is $300,000, right? You see what I'm saying? So we need that to connect. It has to, they have to believe and be certain that it fulfills their needs, right? So that's, and again, sometimes they're at a 5 on that. Oh, 1 second, there's an echo. Let me cut that off.
I don't know where that echo come
There
from.
was.
It was me.
It was Thomas.
It was
Oh, it was
Thomas.
Thomas.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, blame Thomas.
Yeah, I take the blame.
And so again, if you're on a 5, that's where the power of persuasion comes in, right? And if I'm, well, I don't know, you might be right. That definitely isn't the home for you. But it absolutely checked all of the boxes. I don't need to be in that mode. I need to be like, okay, just for clarity, we're looking for, and you reiterate what they're looking for. And it's hitting all of the boxes. It's like, it sounds like this might be the one that we need to consider, right? That, and then now they go from a 5 to a 6 or a 7, right? And then you keep getting them there. And it's called the straight line method because we want to take control of the sale and move it from open to close in the shortest distance, right? People are people. If I'm letting them bounce all over the place and get off of the line, now my job is getting that much more difficult. I got to reel them back in. Got to reel them back in. Get them back on the line to get them to the close. That's all this is about, right? You're moving them from one point in the process to the close, right? And again, if they are not at a level of certainty, they are not going to transact. I do not need to attempt to push my multifamily unit asset on this person looking to buy a single family condo, right? They're not going to buy it. I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting their time, right? So we need, and again, we need to identify where they are on that scale. And there's all sorts of probing questions that you ask, right? And you get an understanding. That's why scripting is so crucial and so valuable. You're able to know what you're going to say before you say it. You see the play before it happens on the field, right? Now you're in it. Now you can build the rapport because you're not thinking about what do I ask next? What do I say next? Right? And one thing that I used to do, again, I'm extremely scripted. Everything that comes out of my mouth is a script now, right? And I adjust it, I cater it to the audience. Same thing with tonality. If my person that I'm speaking to is super here, I'm not going to be this high when I'm speaking to him, right? I'm going to be just above. I'm matching his tonality, right? I'm matching his energy, right? Down to the, before we're done, when I'm talking to you, I'm gonna be like this. You're not gonna know that I purposely did that, but it's gonna make you feel more comfortable because that's how you are, right? These things matter, body language, right? And enthusiasm. Again, you got 4 seconds when you first make that phone call. And I've heard some of the best cold callers, some of the worst, right? You could blow it or you can win it in the first 4 seconds. How do you do that? You're sharp as a tack. Sharp as a tack. You're enthusiastic as hell. You're an expert in your field. That's how you win it. If I'm calling somebody and I'm sharp as a tack, but I'm not enthusiastic, I don't want to talk to you. I'm already not liking this experience, right? If I'm not an expert, why are you on the phone with me? I don't want you to have this conversation with me, sir. You're wasting my time. I'm never going to transact with you. You're not an expert, right? And so, and again, we're not going to go too far down this rabbit hole because I'm going to stick to the scripting, but this is important. This is a crucial element of you having a successful cold call, presentation, whatever it may be, consultation, right? All of these elements are embodied in that. So your job as a salesperson potentially is to, first off, you have to identify where they are on that scale for each of the 3 10s. And you want to be able to persuade them as soon as possible, as efficiently as possible, to get them to not worry about that uncertainty element, unless the product doesn't fulfill their need. And in that case, you shouldn't be attempting to sell them that product in the first place, right? But I think somebody just joined. Oh, no.
Can you talk about something real quick?
Sure.
When people hear script, they kind of think like a movie and actor,
Exactly.
which they literally have to follow to the T.
Yep.
But maybe I found that in our industry, instead of thinking about maybe the script, maybe as a template.
Yep.
Like you want to hit these points, you don't have to necessarily read it verbatim because you can adapt that to the style that kind of works for you, and not only just for you, for that particular individual.
Absolutely.
So you do have a broad script, if you will,
Yep.
but then you can tailor make it to each interaction or each listening appointment.
Absolutely.
Or wherever the situation may be. And then, I see that we throw out the word expert a lot, right? But of course, you're gonna have some people that's new to this, and they're like, well, how can I be an expert if I'm new to this? Well, it doesn't take an expert to find out what is the average sales price for that particular area.
Absolutely.
What are you looking for? So that confidence makes you an expert as opposed to your experience and your knowledge of the industry. So you can be an expert, if you will, because people, it's trust. If they trust you,
Exactly.
then the product part actually becomes easy
100%.
because they trust you as an individual. Hence, that's why we kind of market to our sphere, because they already have a level of trust within that. And then that same script now turns into a template. And so if I'm talking to my cousin, my uncle, my brother, or some other frat brother, I'm not a frat, but nonetheless, it has a rapport, and now they trust you, and then the product part becomes a lot easier.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And so we started by letting everybody know you have to memorize, internalize, and customize. It should not be robotic. It has to be custom to you. It has to be in your language. So I appreciate that because that's super accurate, right? And I love script. I like template too. I think that's good. But I love script and I love acting. I believe it's identical to acting, right? Because to your point, you have a background actor that has to stay on script. You only say these 3 words. Don't say anything more. You have Brad Pitt. They give him the script and he turns it into the character in which he's portraying, right? And he's adjusting it for that character and that role in that moment, exactly to your point, right? So it's like it is acting. And sometimes you need to step in, but again, if you're reading it from the piece of paper, the director isn't going to give you that part, right? So it's like you have to internalize it. It has to be custom to you. You have to be able to deliver it. And going back to the point of expert, before I ever sold a multifamily property, for instance, I wasn't an expert, but nobody would have known that. Nobody talking to me would have known that because I positioned myself and I presented myself as an expert, right? I was sharp as a tack. I was enthusiastic as hell. And I was a perceived expert in my field. Why? Because while I'm talking to them, I have interest generators, right? I have multiple interest generators that I already know, and I'm targeting my efforts, right? And again, I'll bring it back to residential. So if my next 50 calls, right, are about to be made, I'm targeting my 50 calls, right? Which might mean these 50 are all expireds. So at this moment, I'm in my expired mode, right? And I'm delivering the same message in a different fashion based off of who I'm speaking to, right? And then I might be doing the same thing for sale by owners, right? And now I have that script and that mentality, and I'm in that mode, right? And it's the same process, right? And so you can get as granular as you want in that regard, but you want to make sure you understand that these work, right? That full blanket of 98 pages that was just delivered to y'all with scripts, they work, right? You may be effective without a script. You are not going to be as effective. It is 100% impossible. I don't care who you are, right? So yeah, and again, learn the fact too. So a lot of people, they're scared of the prospecting portion. But if you've ever done a deal or when you do deals, you'll understand how important that is. And you'll start to love the results of the prospecting. So it's like learn to love that part as well. And if you don't, you need to have somebody that's entitled to doing that for you. Otherwise, you're not in the greatest position, right? Because you have to prospect. Rule number one, what are we in the business of? Prospecting, right? The moment you stop prospecting is the moment you're letting your business just figure its own self out, right? You're not in control. Prospecting is the key to our business.
You say you sent out that description?
Yes.
And I'm assuming, is it in one U?
It's someone who's
Okay, I checked on it, thank you.
absolutely one university. So keeping it moving. People buy on emotion and they justify with logic, right? So if you're not building that emotional connection with them, right, they may or may not buy. This is a very emotional business that we're in, right? Even logical thinking individuals, if they don't like you, unless it's an investment asset and they just can't find it anywhere else, they might still deal with you. If they don't like you, they're not going to work with you. They're not going to buy you, right? You're selling yourself here. They don't want you. They have to connect with you. All right, so now going to some of the script stuff. How to practice. One of the best ways to practice is to find a partner, as we mentioned, and go through the scripts in person or over the phone. It's perfectly fine to do it over the phone. Most of the calls you make are going to be over the phone. Not a big deal. When you practice, choose a script and then practice with as much intensity as you would bring to a conversation with the customer. Make the practice sessions as realistic as possible, right? And you want to challenge that person that's doing the script, right? You don't want to just make it easy. Like a couple of times you can give them a softball, but you want to throw some curveballs in there. It's not always a yes. It's but keep it real estate related. Don't throw them completely off track. But give them something to work with, right? So you guys can actually collectively get better, right? That's what it's about. It's about practice. And never end your sessions on a bad note either, right? Always end by winning the appointment or sale. You don't need to add any negative baggage, right? And finally, never stop practicing. Practice, practice, practice. All right, now some of the stuff that's going to bring the script to life. When I used to cold call, and I say used to, I'm about to start cold calling again because this is just getting me so energized. Stand up, move around. I used to be in cubicles where everybody is, bless you, where everybody is cold calling on top of each other, right? And so you're hearing everybody's conversation, and I don't know if anybody's ever seen Wolf of Wall Street. I love Jordan Belfort. He actually spoke at our summit last year too. But so there's this scene in the movie where he's doing his script. Like he comes into the new place and he's doing his script and it's just, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody's starting to listen like, what the hell? And they just, like, I literally had a moment exactly like that when I was at one of my former brokerages, and it's just like, but it's once you know what you're going to say, it makes that so much easier. And when you have the material in front of you, again, I love screens, as if y'all can tell. So I always have multiple screens when I'm doing my business. I want to be as effective as possible. So, and again, I always had interest generators, right? And so I have one interest generator on one screen, one interest generator on the other, and my last interest generator on the final screen. And so as I already know what I'm going to say because I'm scripted. And I already know what I want because this is what I do, right? My goal was to receive financials, right? Again, I was doing multifamily sales. So my goal was to receive financials so I can make a decision on if this is a good asset to send to one of my clients, right? Because I have the buyers, right? And this is something that you can still implement that works just as great on the residential side, right? And think about it, especially if you're dealing with somebody, and this is for anyone, but especially if it's a FSBO or a withdrawn or an expired, right? They hear the same spiel all the time. It's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. First off, they need to identify you as an expert, right? And this is why these scripts are so powerful, right? One thing that I'm going to do is let them know what I have to offer. I'm adding value from the very first phone call, right? I'm not asking them for a listing like everybody else that's calling them, right? They just went expired, they just went withdrawn, and I got 100 million people asking me the same exact thing. Can I list it? Can I list it? Can I list it? Can I list it? Can I? No, I'm already pissed off. I'm already drained. You're the 8,000th person to call me in a matter of 3 hours, right? No, I'm irritated. I want to put something in your hand from day one, right? Go ahead.
And I just throw this in there, I used to train my agents that if it's expired, wait 2 weeks. For that exact same reason, because everybody's gonna do it, and they're already mad at every real estate agent, no matter what company that you are, they had it listed for 6 months, what can you offer different? And,
I'll address that too.
okay, cool.
Because that's a good viewpoint of it. I disagree with that viewpoint.
Okay, cool.
But it's a great aspect, right?
Okay.
It gives us some ground to talk on it. So I'll address that real quick before moving on. So when it comes to that, you always want to be the first one in the door if you can, right? And the thing about it is, it's everything in this business is about consistency, right? You're not going to always get them on that first call. And it's going to be 800 agents calling in that first week or two, right? By the third week, second or third week, it's going to be 40 agents calling them, right? By that final week, it's going to be you and somebody else, right? Before they make another decision. So it's like, and if they keep hearing my name, and again, we have tools nowadays, right? Not only are they hearing my name, they're seeing me because I just did an advertisement for $100, and now I'm following them around the web because of my boost capabilities. So they hear me, they see me, and guess what my message is saying? It's not saying Adrian, the high-rise guy, unless it's a high-rise condo. It's saying the withdrawn expert, right? I specialize in moving homes that don't sell the first time. That's what I specialize in. For today, right? That's all they need to see. That's all they need to know. That's what they need to connect with. That's what they need to hear, right? So that's the power of the persuasion piece of it all. Because again, the 3 10s, right? Love the product or believe it fulfills their needs. We already know that that's at a 10. They tried to sell it already, right? I need to be working on making sure that they trust me as the expert. I need that as close to a 10 as possible. And I need to sell my company, right? They need to be able to trust my company is legit. And my company is just as of expert in this craft as that individual that's representing the company, right? If they don't have that trust, then you're not going to be able to win that business, and it's going to go to somebody else. And you'll be like, damn, why do I keep losing these out on these opportunities, right? And you have to have the confidence to know that once you get in the door, you can deliver. Don't let me get in the door. I'm getting the door. How? How? Somebody give me an idea. How am I getting in the door?
By showing you the expert.
Thank you. By showing that I'm the expert. What does that mean? I have hundreds, literally hundreds. My team and I have hundreds of buyers looking for assets identical to the one that you just tried to sell, right? When's a good time for me to have a look and see if it's a good fit for one of them? I'm immediately adding value. I'm immediately giving them an opportunity to get that property sold without asking them anything, but allowing me to see if it's a good fit for my clients, right? That's a script, one script. I'm in the door and I'm looking through it and I'm looking through it. And then I have a whole nother script to address that, to continuously position myself as the expert. And I'm enthusiastic as hell the entire time. Even if they're super, because they're pissed off that they didn't sell the first time and they're sick of agents and they think all agents are the same, right? So I'm changing his mentality about the agent, right? He's feeling my energy. He's like, oh man, I wish we had this guy in the first place. That's the thought I want to run in his mind, right? And I stay consistent with the follow-up. I leave him with a minimum a guidebook that you guys are all getting complimentary, if not something else, right? Oh no, this is for you. You just want to hang on to that, right? And I'm really giving him a folder with how I'm the withdrawn expert or expired expert or whatever he needs to see in that moment, right? And I'm giving him valuable information inside of that packet about the trades that are occurring in his marketplace, right? Oh, and by the way, he's probably going to get a postcard from me, so I know how to do that through Remind or RPR, right? How much is it? $1, $2, $5? I don't have to blast the whole neighborhood. I'm identifying him. I need him to know that I'm the expert, right? So he got the card. He sees me on the web. Like, damn, this guy is everywhere. He really is the expert. I got that business all day long. Don't let me back in the door because we signed a listing agreement at that point, right? Everybody following me?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So I think we touched most of this stuff that I wanted y'all to see. What I'm gonna do now is show you guys a few things. And again, this is just to show you that it works and that this is exactly what I used to use and what I used to do. Now we're gonna go over some. How much time we got, by the way?
21 minutes.
Oh, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna continue to share my screen and I'm gonna show y'all something else real quick. And again, even though this, what I'm getting ready to show you is commercial, it is 100% equivalent on the residential side. I'm just going to show you how effective these things are. You guys have the tools already. Use the tools. You don't need to learn every script in there. You need to learn the ones that you need, right? And you need to have the tools available to you to be able to effectively do your job. You know what I mean? Buyer questionnaire, seller questionnaire. I'm not getting on the phone. I already know my script. I have a questionnaire directly in front of me every time I make a call. Every single time I make a call, right? Let me see this. You guys can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
I know you can see it. In the
Yes, we see it.
thank you. She's like, yes, continue. All right, so I'm gonna log in. Resources. All right, here we go. Here we go. I'm in the wrong location. Tools. All right. So I encourage every single one of you guys to have a system in place to be able to do your business. There is a multitude of resources inside of one university. If does anyone not know how to access one university? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, awesome. So as you can see, these are some of, this was my personal playbook, if you will, that I shared with the commercial department. So as you can see, I have development scripts, questionnaires, weekly activity sheets. I want y'all to see all of this because this is how a system should look. You can't, again, McDonald's is so successful for a reason, right? They are one of the largest owners of real estate in the entire world, right? They are one of the largest consumers and purchasers of beef, potatoes, tomatoes. I mean, they buy more of that stuff than some countries do, right? Annually. They're bigger than some people's GDP. This one organization. There's a reason for that, right? All right, so we're gonna go into the weekly activity sheet first. This, and again, I know we're talking scripting, but all of this is part of the playbook. The scripting part is you just need to get off your ass and practice these scripts and understand that this is how you make your money, right? If you don't, somebody from a different organization or maybe the same is going to have the scripts in place and deliver it and take your business if you don't, right? So set yourself up to win, you know? How many people am I going to call today? How many people am I going to interact with today about real estate business? And check it off, right? I used to literally, I never made less than 60 calls a day, never less than 60 a day. And the results prove that, right? If you don't track it, how do you know where you're at, right? And not only that, once it becomes so easy to identify the pipeline of your revenues and how much money you plan on making and what your pipeline looks like when you track this stuff. You can start to see, okay, it takes me 60 calls to get to 6 appointments. Of those 6 appointments, I'm getting 1 listing or whatever it might be. You can start to track the numbers and you know what your numbers are. And now you don't have to guess when you're going to get another deal. You can literally say, okay, I need to make 60 more calls if I need another listing, right? All right, so tools, have this out, print, and if you guys want access to this, you have some already in one university, but if you want this one specifically, reach out to me, I'll send it to you, right? Or if you're in commercial, you can automatically go back there and get it. But So that's one. Everybody, and again, you guys have plenty. You have some in RevUp, you have some in other locations of one university. So there's a ton of these tracking tools available to everybody already. But use them. Don't let them just go stay where they are. You have to use this stuff, right? All right, moving on. If the screen would let me. All right. So the development script. So this is what one of my scripts looked like, right? That was extremely effective for me in the world of multifamily investments. And again, you guys just received a whole package of scripts that work just as well, if not better, in residential, right? And again, this is stuff that you can use for if you're dealing with investors or if you're dealing with, again, expires, withdrawals. You just switch it up a little bit, right? Hi, this is Adrian with One Terminus, right? And you always imply that they know who you are, right? You always imply that they know your organization as well, right? And you can do that through the tonality. And I mean, there's all sorts of little techniques that we're going to go into on this particular session, but you want to imply that they know you, even if they don't know you, right? And if you're like, I used to have to call and get through gatekeepers, right? So a lot of times I'm looking for the owner of the asset and I have to go through the property manager or an assistant or whatever. So it was never, hey, is Mr. Smith available? No, it was always, hey, this is Adrian. I'm with One Terms. I'm looking to speak to John, right? Hey, where's John at? Hey, is John available? Right? Not Mr. Smith. They already know I'm trying to sell them something, right? How are you doing today? Great. And this is either or. You can or you don't have to ask them how they're doing. If it's somebody that's in a super rush, then you might want to skip that how you doing and all the pleasantries and get straight to the point, right? I'm reaching out about 123 Main Street. Did I catch you in the okay time? Well, right, and you drop the reason for my call, right? And it's all about the tonality. And some people are super high pitched. If that's what your voice is, it's okay, but you got to bring it down a little bit while you're trying to have this conversation with people, right? You don't want to be, "Ah!" And again, you want to match them. If they're a fast talker, I need to speed it up. Even if I'm from the South, I got to speed it up a little bit. If they're a slow talker, I don't want to go too fast. They think I'm selling them something. They think I'm a slime ball, right? You have to match them where they are, right? Well, the reason for my call, because now I got their interest, right? And it's all about the tonality. I'm telling you. The reason for my call is that my firm represents a group of multifamily investors that have expressed a significant amount of interest in similar assets to yours, and we would like to know if you would be open to filling an offer for the property, right? Straightforward. I'm not asking for anything but for them to consider what they might be making on this deal if they were to dispose of it at this moment, as opposed to whenever their exit strategy is, right? And obviously my goal was to attempt to retrieve the most recent financials and up-to-date rent roll, right? And if that didn't work, you see the IG2, there's another interest generator, right? Well, we're piecing together a couple of deals like yours and we're getting extremely high trade numbers. In fact, while doing some research for a property that my team is underwriting, I noticed that you purchased these apartments for $50,000 a door back in '05. Well, similar assets are trading for about $130,000 per door right now. How do you plan on taking advantage of that? Oh shit, I didn't know it was 130 a door. I thought the highest they got was 90. Man, now I got their interest. Now I have their ear. But I'm also an expert, and I already implied I was an expert because I told them I'm piecing together a couple of deals together just like theirs. So they know I'm working in that specific field at that moment, being active as an expert, right? So again, it's all how it's but again, I could say the same thing in a different fashion and it won't be as effective if the words aren't the right words. That's where the scripting comes into place. Know what the goal is and then be able to deliver it because you customized it and you tailored it to yourself in your own voice. You internalized it, right? And you're ramping yourself up. You're getting yourself ready to go before you hit the phones. This is a sport, man. And you treat it like that. You ready to hit the ground running and like, yo, I'm going to make at least 60 calls, and I'm going to be this enthusiastic about every single call that I make, right? But again, it goes on and on and on. Again, with this one being a multi-family one, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I just want you to see that this is how you put it together, right? I don't expect for you to have a whole back office like this, but just have your stuff ready to go, right? Google Drive, something, and have your stuff ready to go in every single call. If somebody calls you, and again, even if you don't work from the office, where are you working from? If you're working from home, you need to make sure you have a section of that place ready to go so you can deliver on your business, right? You need to have sheets ready. They should be at least 10 or 20 printed out, ready to go. So somebody call, okay, boom. You already have the script memorized, but now you also have the questionnaire in front of you, right? Going on to the questionnaire. This is the powerful piece of it all. Because even if I wasn't an expert, I know exactly what an expert would ask because of this questionnaire. Every one of you guys have multiple questionnaires inside of one university. If you want more, reach out to me. I have plenty, right? But again, and this is conversational, right? Because again, I want to converse and I want to continuously build rapport and also plant in their head that I am the expert in my field. So as we're having conversation, and again, you want to make sure that it's like 50% statement driven and 50% question driven, right? And those statements should still be leading you into your ultimate goal of getting them closed, right? Without them jumping off of that line. Is everybody still with me?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So how long have you owned the property, right? What are the rent rates for your studios, for your one beds, for your twos, right? And you could jump around this thing, but my goal is to have this filled out before I'm off of the phone with you, right? And then the powerful piece too, there's more, right? Who currently manages the property, so on and so forth. But again, you want to make sure that you have these questionnaires in front of you. I'm telling you, just you giving this consultation over the phone with them is going to separate you tremendously from the competition. They're going to ask them the basic three things. What's your budget? How many beds? How many baths? They're not even going deep into the location. Like, oh, Atlanta? Okay, cool. How big is Atlanta? I need to know which neighborhood. Why? What's provoking you to be there as opposed to there? Then you might end up, oh no, I'm actually in Jonesboro, not Atlanta. I was just saying Atlanta, but I'm in Jonesboro. You know what I mean? It's like you have to ask probing questions, and you don't need to be filling. So everybody's brain is like a hard drive, right? It's like a computer. How many computers have unlimited space? None, right? If you fill up your brain with unnecessary stuff, it's going to be compiled with necessary stuff, unnecessary stuff, right? You only have so you don't need to remember every one of these questions. I just need to know that I got them in front of me so I can ask them, right? You need to remember the script and memorize that and customize that and some other stuff that's important, right? And this is I'm a big Napoleon Hill fan, right? Think and Grow Rich. And one of the biggest principles in there, well, there's a lot, but one of them that's relevant to what we're talking about right now is specialized knowledge, right? A lot of people think knowledge is power. That is bullshit. Applied knowledge is power, and specialized knowledge is what gets you what you want in this world, right? So know your stuff. Know your stuff. It's cool to know everything in the world and win Jeopardy, but how wealthy are you, right? I guarantee you that doctor that specializes in this is making a check. You can know everything in the world about all of the sports, all of this, all of the Jordans that came out, everything. Who cares? Specialize, right? All right. 7 minutes. Thank you. So to bring it home, you need to learn your scripts. All right. You guys have the scripts. I was going to have everybody doing some role playing while we're here, but we're not going to do that. And I want everybody though to find a partner at some point. And oh, I'm gonna preface that by saying this. We are migrating away from Facebook. So the Facebook private group chat thing, we're migrating away from that, and we're going to communities inside of one university. So everybody will be receiving invites to the communities, and there'll be various communities. So there'll be communities for everybody in the organization. There'll be communities for new launch agents. There'll be communities for sales managers, and so on and so forth. And so you'll be, in the communities that's applicable to you, but it'll be inside of one university. And so you guys can chat there and find partners there, connect, build camaraderie and things of that nature, but you need to be practicing this even if you don't have someone to practice with. But
That was a perfect segue. So if anybody needs anybody, I don't mind being a partner to help you go through some role play. Just reach out to me, we'll set up a time and let's do it.
Absolutely. And some of y'all will be assigned, people that's in launch, a few of y'all are going to be assigned to Thomas anyway. So again, he'll be the mentor for you if you don't have a partner, right? So good stuff. I appreciate that. Any questions? What questions do we have? We got a few minutes. Fire away, somebody. Give me something. 20 eye-to-eye or ear-to-ear conversations per day, y'all, at least, right? Key prospecting reminders continued. Acknowledge and approve using words like great, terrific, oh, excellent, really, interesting. You know what I mean? Oh, I can appreciate that. Affirmative, letting them know that you're locked in, you're actually listening to them, right? They have your ear. Avoid why questions. Don't ask them why. Don't put them on their back against the wall. They can get, confrontational or feel like you're questioning them, come from a place of curiosity, not judgment. This is one of my favorites, right? Come from a place of attempting to gain understanding. You don't want them to feel like you're judging them. So why are you not like, whoa, calm down, right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So in this age of, we all getting all these spam phone calls and stuff, what do you suggest to maybe overcome that initial objection when people get that call like, what do you want? Follow me. So what is something, maybe just something?
It depends on who I'm talking to.
Okay.
So let's go deeper into that.
So, okay, I'm calling a FISBO.
Okay.
And, of course, we're trying to earn their business.
Yeah.
But of course, when that phone number comes up, they haven't seen it, they're already in the defensive mode. What is some adjustments you can make to maybe break that ice?
I would say come from a place of courage, right? And clarity, and being able to communicate exactly what it is that you're going to be doing for them. So you want to make sure they understand that you're adding value. You know that they have a problem and you're their solution. And so one thing that really made it easy for me to pick up the phone and call people that has never heard of me before, right, was the simple fact that I knew that I had something that was good for them, something that they needed, something that I felt like if I would be a jerk if I didn't present this to them, because they need this in their life. And I really believe that, right? So it's like when you know that, and you're not trying to take from them, but you're actually trying to enhance their life, it makes that conversation so easy. So with a FISBO, I'm hitting them with, again, I have, in so many words, so many freaking buyers beating down my door that cannot find a property, and they're looking for stuff that's just like yours, right? Would you be open to filling offers from any of them? Yeah, I'm trying to sell, of course. What do you need from me? That's the question I'm looking for. What do you need from me? Well, I just need to come by, have a look at it, vet it out, make sure it's a good fit for them, and and I'll send them over, some pictures. If you don't mind, I'll take a couple of photos, or do a video conference with one or two of them while I'm there. So it's just, but yeah, but if I'm calling them, hey, I see that you just you're trying to sell your home, it's a FISBO. It's like, man, don't get off my damn phone. I don't know you. I'm selling it by myself for a reason, because I don't like you agents. Y'all all got your hand out. So you want to be putting something in it from the very first phone call. And it's just like, again, knowing that you really can add that value. So it's like that confidence builds when you know that you really have the goods for them, you know. But if you feel like, oh man, they're gonna think that I'm trying to get one over on them, I'm just like every other agent. It's like, nah, you already taking yourself out of the game, you know. So from the beginning, it's like, hey, I'm here to add value. And then once I'm adding value, I'm here to add more value, right? Like I'm trying to get you more than what you was trying to sell for. Like you do understand while I'm walking through, man, leaving that. And right there is going to show him how he's leaving 20% on the table by taking it to market himself. So you don't want to pay me 6%. You're going to be up 14% just by listening with me. Before I'm incredible. Before I touch it and put my magic on it, just any realtor, you're going to be up 14% just by listening with a realtor and giving them 6% that they're going to share with the buyer, right? Now, if you get me, I need 7 points and some change because you're getting me. And you still, now that 20% is going to drive up to probably like 25%, right? So you still up 16, 17. Somebody had a question?
No, that was just me coughing. That's all.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Well, so that's it. But I'll stick around for a few minutes if anybody has any additional questions. But that's it for anybody that has to go. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you got something good. Again, I was gonna just have y'all reading scripts all day. I'm not even gonna lie. But I was like, let me give y'all the why, you know, and the how behind the need for these scripts. Because I used to hate scripts too. I remember when I first was told that I needed scripts, I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. That's not what I do. And then I found the power of scripts. And I was like, man, my whole business is scripted now. Seriously. What other questions do y'all have for anybody that's sticking around? Great question, Thomas, too.
There's also, like you mentioned, the objections, or like you're saying. Like,
yep.
There's a script for that too.
Of course. So there's like, damn, I forget you might know it. I can't remember the amount. It's like 13 objections for buyers and sellers. They're all the same. There's no more than those 13.
Oh, okay.
No more. I'm talking about they can't find any more than those 13. And people think, oh, it's a million objections. So just learn them 13 and learn what to say about each one of those. And there's definitely the objection handling, and there's a ton of it. And again, like I sing Debbie's praises all the time because she gives you the playbook and breaks it down so basic where it's like, unless you're just lazy and you don't want to learn the business, it's like then you'll find a reason not to be in taking those coaching classes. There's a reason why she coaches more millionaire earning agents than most people on this earth. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it works. And it's not like overly complicated. Like me, sometimes I go over people's head, I can see it in their eyes. I'm like, damn, let me try to reel it back. She breaks it down like kindergarten level, you know? So it's like it works. And the scripts work. Objection handling, I'm telling you, once you know them scripts, you waiting for him. Like, I can't wait for him to say that. I already know what he gonna say. As soon as he say it, bow, handled. Yep. Great question. What else we got, y'all? I want y'all to make some money, man. I want y'all to be out there crushing it, right? I was reviewing our numbers for the office this year, and I am horrified at our production, right? Yeah, it's scary. We should do a Halloween party for it. You know? Seriously. So it's like, what do I need to do to help y'all go to that next level? What do you need from me? You know? Again, the tools are there, but we need you to use those tools. I want to have the highest adoption rate of our tools out of any organization in the history of real estate. These tools are here for y'all to win. You know, you don't need to use every single tool, but use the ones that's there that work for you, right? This is important stuff. What else y'all got for me, man? I love scripts, so I can talk about this stuff all day long. You want to
So what are your thoughts? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't prefer cold calling.
Yep.
So.
Great question. So my calls were always warm because I did my research up front and I had my playbook. So again, I'm gonna bring it twofold. So for me, I'm doing multifamily investment sales, right? So I'm doing my research up front. I know whose mortgage is about to balloon, right? It's coming up for maturity. Nobody's paying that balloon payment. Nobody, no investor is. So I know that they're going to have to make a decision pretty soon, right? They're either going to refi or they're going to sell. Stay options. So I'm in front of them before that becomes a certainty with somebody else, right? So I'm calling them knowing already by doing my research what time it is. So I'm not calling somebody who just bought their apartment complex last week. There's no use. I might send them a couple of pieces so they know my name and they might be still an active buyer, but I'm not calling them for them to sell that particular asset, right? So I'm doing my research up front. It's hot.
So the equipment may be in the residential market, maybe somebody's been in the house 10 years, 15 years.
Absolutely. And so we have a whole algorithm that we went over a couple of Wednesdays ago on how to identify who's the most likely to sell now, right? And then we also have technology, artificial intelligence, with our Leads Plus program that does it for you, right? But going back to your point, low hanging fruit, super hot, FISBO, super hot, withdrawn, super hot, expired, right? They're screaming, I'm trying to sell, and I'm trying to sell with a realtor. Can somebody help me out? Act what we need. I got the solution for you. Oh, and by the way, I specialize in cleaning up the shit that they couldn't do. That's what I do. You couldn't get it sold with them. That's what we're here for. Don't worry about it. We got you. We got you. And I'm gonna have a phenomenal presentation that showcases that, right? Even if all you did was go to our One Design Creative Studio, you go to the marketing consultation package, right? Or the listing presentation, and you just edit that to gear it towards withdrawals. And then you do another one, gear it towards expires. Do another one, gear it towards FISBOs. It's the same thing with a slightly different message. And I'm placing that in front of them as well, right? And then you can send them a mailer. And again, we're talking one mailer. It's not $100 either.
It's not farming.
You see what I'm saying? It's like one mailer, boom, send it. It's not a big deal, right? Great question. But again, I would prefer it to not be a cold call, right? But I make the cold calls too, because some people are like, oh, well, we plan on holding this for 15 years, we don't even have any debt on it. It's like, oh shit, well, now you know me, at least you know my name now, and I keep it.
Why are you holding it for 15 years? That would be good.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason why they would hold it for 15 years in apartments is because it's probably a light tech, low income housing. So it's like they got tax incentives, they hold it for a certain period. But great question. But yeah, so come on, questions, man. Questions. Nothing? Crickets?
We're 6 minutes past.
Okay.
I think we got it.
All right. All right, well, y'all can go.
Thank you, Adrian.
Y'all welcome. See you later. Thanks for joining.